Well, hello, my friends and fellow VEDSies. It is October 9th. That is not part of VEDS, but I am here anyway. In the month of September this year, I believe my final tally was 22 videos, which is okay. I believe I said on September 1st that I really don't expect to make it to 30 this year, and I did not, but I certainly made a lot of minutes of content. My videos are far too long, you see, but while the month is over and I make videos all year, it no longer really makes sense for me to brand videos as VEDS. I at very least wanted to get caught up on watching all of your videos, my fellow VEDSies, that is, and giving my responses. Now, truth be told, I'm not even caught up on that yet. I got sick for a few days here, lost my voice for a while, couldn't make a video. Excuse. But today, I'm actually going to be reviewing all of the videos made by my fellow VEDSies basically a month ago. Between like the 10th and 20th approximately of September. I have watched everything y'all have uploaded up to September 20th. And at some point next week, I'm going to do yet another final review video of all the content that was made by my wonderful fellow VEDSies. I'm just going to get right into it. In no particular order whatsoever, I'm going to start with Caleb. I really loved several of your videos, as with everybody, but I enjoyed you talking about empty world video games. I don't know if I share that specific love, but it was cool to hear you talk about that. I will say that, wow, I was about to say something absurd. I was about to say really busy, hustling and bustling online games are not my thing, which is a weird thing to say since I basically only play RuneScape and maybe a couple of other games here and there, but I've certainly never been interested in the concept of having like an online presence through a game. To be honest, when I do play RuneScape, I basically play it as like a one-player adventure, and I just turn off the public chat. I think that stems from with me being in bands and stuff and doing collaborative projects with others artistically here and there. Maybe there's enough opportunity to disappoint others in my day-to-day life, and I don't need that aspect introduced into my gaming as well. So I basically stick to myself, but that's different than what you're talking about in terms of a video game that feels empty while you're playing it. The only game you mentioned that I have any history in playing is, well, Minecraft. Of course. Who hasn't played a little Minecraft here and there? It's one of those games you get... I won't speak for everybody, but it's one of those games where famously most people tend to get really immersed in it for a few weeks and then lose interest entirely. But yes, I suppose there is a beauty in that in that game you are just sort of dropped inside of a biome somewhere filled with resources that have been untapped by anyone else. Of course, talking about just a one-player survival or even creative server. I always loved that feeling of I could do anything. And my favorite in that game was I would sometimes do survival mode for a while and then lose interest. The only substantial project I ever did in Minecraft that I'm sad that I've lost that file because I would love to actually finish that one day. I was building this whole stadium on this flat plane in creative mode. And I got pretty far along. Like, every seat was labeled. There were, like, rows and seats and a whole concourse area. I was having a lot of fun with that. I wish I knew where that went. Anyway, I went on sort of a tangent with that, but I did really enjoy you talking about that concept of the empty world video game. And you talked about a couple of titles that I never really gotten into, but would love to at some point. Caleb, I also really enjoyed you doing a couple of sort of day in the life, sort of just wandering about day-to-day vlogs. That is, of course, what I started this channel to be. Literally, I've said this before, but in 2019, I just decided I would start this channel as a means to do a sort of day in the life video every day, forever. I was just going to document my entire life. I've stepped back from that concept a fair bit for obvious reasons, but it was really cool to see you do a couple on the day off that you got to have. And you went to that film festival. That seems really cool. I've never done anything like that. I've never really taken much time to watch. I think all the movies that I've seen in the last 10 or 15 years have probably been like of the major release variety, of the major release or musician documentary variety. I perhaps have not given enough love to maybe some smaller produced films, and I'm sure there's some absolute gems, and I will take your one recommendation and maybe go check that out if there's any way I can find that. But I really thought that was cool. I loved you. I loved you. I can't speak English today. It's been a long day. I'm still getting over being sick, so I'm a little bit loopy. But yes, that is the beauty of the day in the life sort of wandering around travel vlog, is we get to sort of be there with you in some small way. So that was really fun. I'm going to move on to Tessa and talk about the video you made sewing new buttons onto your shirt. I have sort of been trying to do things like that, not that specific thing, but these last couple years I've been trying to sort of challenge the assumption I have in my head about certain things in terms of when I feel like, oh, I can't do that thing. I don't do that thing. I'll get someone else to do that thing. Every once in a while something comes up where it's like, well, no, I could... I've never done this specific thing, but like, I could get some buttons. I could sew new buttons on, and I don't have to deal with these wrong colored buttons. And I think you said one of them broke. And that's a really... I know it seems minor, but it is... it's an empowering thing to be like, wait, I can just do that. And I'm glad you found a new skill. The shirt really does look better with the new darker colored buttons. I've also enjoyed that shirt making a reappearance in various videos since then. Again, I know I'm so ridiculously behind. That's literally a video you made like a month ago, and I'm just getting to responding to it now. But also, I wanted to talk about your video about maintaining a balance between what was it? It's the things you want to do, the things you ought to be doing, and the things you wind up doing. Maybe this is not, maybe this is adjacent to your point a little bit, but I find for me there are certainly like tiers of productivity. Like, there's like the most productive thing I could ever be doing is like writing a song or sending out my booking emails for my music career or doing what I'm doing right now. I am currently, as of the time that this camera is running, by my standards, being productive. Hooray! But when I'm not being productive, again, there are tiers of the way I'm using my time to my... hard to explain. I'll say it this way. Like, I would way rather spend a day listening to albums in my record collection, and maybe I collect various other things, you know, going through listening projects, or, yeah, like I said, going through my collection and maybe looking up things about music history that I didn't know before, or... And that, while it's not productive at all, it doesn't really get me any further down the road. It's still me doing things that are oriented towards my interest and some level of learning. And then, of course, the lowest tier of complete abject, what's the word for, unproductivity, deproductivity. The ultimate deproductivity, the word I invented just now, is when I wind up just laying in bed scrolling on my phone for hours. That is true wasted time. I don't think when I put a record on and listen to it, it's not like truly wasted time, because at least I enjoyed it. I guess technically if I'm scrolling on my phone, I guess I'm enjoying it, but it's weird. It's literally an action I'm just doing to make time go away, it feels like. So that is my least favorite bad unproductivity. Actually, while I'm on the topic of your video on balance, I will talk about a video Alicia made that I know a lot of other fellow VEDSies have already made responses to this one. It was a great topic for discussion. Your video all on is it worth it? And the things we do in our lives, the way that every single thing we choose to do virtually comes with some level of cost, whether it is monetary or in terms of time or just in terms of other priorities in life that have to sort of fall by the wayside every now and then in order to do what we love. Certainly there's a lot of those, I suppose, in my life, and I touched on this a little bit earlier in the video that I made on approaching 30, which thanks y'all. I've seen some of you have made responses to that video as well. That's very nice of you. I'm glad some of you enjoyed that video, but it's all on that topic. You know, if you look at the list of videos I've made on this channel, you will know that I have done a lot of traveling and adventuring in my 20s. Which is awesome. Some of that is in terms of my music career, and some of that is in terms of I just really like traveling. And that has come at the cost, for me, of being in this place now, where I'm almost 30, and I haven't really set a nest egg for myself because I've been too busy gallivanting and doing things. And I'm aware that I've been leaning on some of the wonderful privileges I've got to have in my life through way of I can like mooch off of my parents and live in this house, for example. But I'm also finding myself getting to an age where, okay, at a certain point, I need to let the people who have been letting me live this life of semi-doing whatever I want, I need to let them off the hook a little bit and maybe make some more productive decisions going forward. But I don't regret anything I did. Cue the dogs. Dog break. Okay, this video's gonna be too long. Yeah, I have made that cost. I'm sure I could have balanced it better and done both to I gotta shut this dog up. But yeah, you could make the argument, I know I probably could have balanced it a little better, honestly. I'm not saying this was a direct cost, but I have, again, like I just said, chosen to prioritize having a lot of experience in my 20s over having a lot of stability in my 20s. Anyway, I talked about all that at length before, but I have thought about your Is It Worth It video so many times just in my everyday life since I saw that one. It's such an interesting concept to think about. I really liked your video on the sublime confusion from that Guillermo del Toro quote. I had never heard one's 20, again, I'm going back to talking about one's 20s, but I had never heard it described quite that way. It's one of those things that I did not know was such a universal experience. I did not know that a lot of us universally felt really behind in our lives in our 20s. It's sort of a paradox, isn't it? How apparently, and again, I didn't know this to be true, but apparently it's a fairly universal thing to feel during what objectively is a relatively early phase in one's life, to feel like we've completely failed and we're horribly behind. Again, we're all 20-somethings-ish, which I'm just barely clinging on to my last few weeks of, really. But yeah, we're several years removed from like high school and the beginnings of college and feeling like we've got it all together, and we're still not totally on the path that we want to be. I definitely, personally, felt like I may have talked about this before, but I felt like a washed-up musician when I was about 16 or 17 years old. When I was in grade 12, I wasn't in a band at the time, and I literally joined my first band when I was like 11, so I by that point at 16 or 17, I was like, wow, I can't believe my music career failed. So, glad I'm not the only one who, despite being technically in what I guess would still be considered an early-ish phase of life, to be horribly, woefully behind in terms of what I want to be doing. So I actually, I was very relieved to hear that it's not just me, and plenty of people feel this way. And then finally, there was more music from you, Alicia. I loved your Taylor Swift cover, and I also really was so thrilled to get a chance to see what I'm assuming is your original song, Is It Enough? It was quite a lovely little piece. I'm assuming it's a pretty recent composition. I'm not really sure. All I know is that it was a really splendid little song, and I'm jealous of you for having the motivation to write songs. I think you're exploring some concepts that you may be feeling in real life in that song, if I may be so nosy, but it was cute. I really did enjoy it. I will move on to Pip. Oh wait, before I do, sorry, one thing I wanted to mention is I haven't watched up to everybody's day 20 videos. I've been trying to watch relatively in like upload order, so I've gotten everything that's been uploaded as of September 20th. So Alicia, there's still a couple of your videos that I haven't seen yet that I'm really excited to watch shortly after I finish making this video, specifically on cryptic crosswords, which you've told me a little bit about. I also see there's a travel vlog feed, Connor, which I'm very excited to watch, and again, will at some point shortly after this. But in any case, moving on to Pip, I always love your specific brand of cooking videos. It is very, I always giggle along, and yet also learn. Talking about, of course, your making mousse video. I really did enjoy that. I was shocked at the discussion that is emerging in terms of filming versus editing. I was honestly shocked to learn that the majority of us VEDSies prefer the process of editing to the process of filming. The whole fun of my channel, I feel like, is getting to show people cool things and filming cool stuff, and then I get home and I'm like, oh, I have to actually put that into my editing software and work on it for hours. That part is like the tedious part that I have to get through in order to put the video out into the universe for me. But you know what's weird? These videos are the only ones that are kind of the opposite. If I'm being honest, it is the response videos that I always get really excited about writing out what I'm going to say. But then, Pip, I think you actually addressed this during one of your videos in this part of this month, where you talked about a weird feeling of, like, somehow by responding to people's videos, or maybe, no, you know what? I can't remember if this was Jeffrey or Pip. It may have been both of you. Actually, I think it was Jeffrey. Sorry about that. Which is funny, because the next video I was going to talk about with you was Jeffrey and Pip. But in any case, I think Jeffrey brought up that I do feel this weird thing, like somehow by responding to people's videos, I'm going to disappoint someone. Like I didn't talk about their videos enough, or I misinterpreted something, or I did something wrong. Somehow, I know that's silly. I know that people appreciate when I make these videos, all you do, so I don't know why I feel that way, but I definitely feel a certain amount of dread about filming these specific videos, that I'm going to somehow mess it up and offend someone. I don't know why. Yes, that was very cute to see you and Jeffrey talk for just under 20 minutes about the newfound sort of definition you found for your platonic relationship and your impending ceremony in March. I think I've mentioned this before, that it is great pain to me that I cannot see any foreseeable way that I can make it out in March. It is very far from me, and the finances and the scheduling are not lining up at this particular moment, particularly the finances. But it's going to be so beautiful. I will be there in spirit. I'm so glad that, even though I don't know, perhaps I'm wrong, but it feels to me from watching that video like it's not even necessarily that you reached any sort of milestone this year in terms of living together and the relationship that you two do have, other than just being able to find a really satisfying way to define it and to be able to have that commitment ceremony for one another. It is so beautiful. I really enjoyed that video of you two talking about it for a while and being candid about what I'm sure is a fairly difficult topic to cover at times, but you two did it with such grace, and I really enjoyed that. I will move on to Jeffrey. In terms of Jeffrey and James, there have been a lot of fun storylines going around in this year's Video Every Day in September, and again, I'm not going to talk too much about that. I am waiting on pins and needles to watch the final videos of this past month in order to see how everything has tied in together. So once I've seen the storylines as a whole, I'll talk about that a little bit more. Again, enjoying watching through your Mystery Case Files videos, and I know that in the last couple, or at least I'm not even sure if they're the last couple that you released before the 20th, you talked about one or two of the games that you were less than impressed by, shall I say, some games that you thought had a lot to work on. So I'm going to ask, in your opinion, and again, I've never actually played one of these Mystery Case Files games, do you feel the franchise is in any way possibly going downhill? Is it improving? Is it stagnating? Has it always been the same with little ups and downs? Or do you have any concerns about, like, any decline in quality in terms of games as a whole, not just one individual one, but yeah, if you think through in your mind through the last few, do you feel like there may be declining a little bit, or has that always been the case, that there's some you enjoy and some you don't, and it's sort of a mixed bag? I'd love to hear how you feel about that. Wait a second. I told myself I wasn't going to do that. I forgot temporarily that it's October 9th, and people will no longer be making video responses to the things I say. Maybe in the comments if you feel up to it, but yeah, I can't really be giving people, hey, I'd love if you talk about this. The month, aside from me, is over. And your Something New video was very cool. Seeing you pick up a new instrument. This is crazy, I knew your tag was Drummer Jag for the longest time, but I somehow didn't put two and two together in my mind that you were actually a percussionist. That's very cool, and I really enjoyed getting to be a fly on the wall in your process of getting very excited about and learning a new instrument. That was a really cool video. And again, like I said, I'm not going to talk too much about the specifics of your storyline until I get through it, but this is true of you and James, that through creating these elaborate story elements for this year's VEDS, it's really allowed you a chance to show so many of your talents that maybe don't get to shine as much every year, and that you are a very talented actor and singer. I always feel weird calling you a singer because Singing Guy is a singer, but you know what I mean. Really wonderful to see you flourish in so many talents that I sometimes forget you have. I'm like, oh, they're really good at that. But yeah, a lot of talent being shown this year. It's been fun to watch. And then that of course brings me to James also showing off many talents with many different characters in the storyline elements, and particularly as I go through what I again think is a really cool concept of doing you're sort of cleaning house in terms of going back and taking, I for one have many videos on this channel that I wish I could have done better or done something different with, and what a cool concept to be able to go back through the years and apply your current skills to a concept for a video that you did years ago that maybe you wish you had your current skill set back when you made it. But in terms of those videos going through the years, I can't help but keep thinking about the mirror character that keeps appearing. Please forgive me if you've answered this question already, or if you've answered it in a video I haven't seen yet. How do you go about animating that mirror? That is so cool. As you mentioned in your Roddy Gilbert video, which I will talk about as well, you clearly have some background in animation. What program are you using? How does that work? I'm very impressed by... I was watching through your videos, and it sort of just hit me at one point that I was like, wait, James has a whole ass animated character in his videos that I have not addressed. That is amazing. So yeah, I did it again. It's October. You can't make video responses, really, because the month is over. But if you feel like you want to let me know in the comments any aspects about that, I'm fascinated by that figure and the animation that has gone into that. And yeah, that Roddy Gilbert interview was very poignant. Obviously something you filmed earlier in life in college, and obviously something that you had a lot of feelings about after you went back and watched it again. I am thrilled that you didn't just re-release the interview, that you actually did a bit of a retrospective on it with some interspliced cuts in there of you today, talking about your experience in that college course and how that teacher inspired you. We all have a few influential teachers throughout our life, hopefully, if we are so lucky, that shaped us into what we are today, especially when it comes to the arts. That's always really special. I'm sure he would be thrilled to see what you've gotten up to on your YouTube channel, particularly over the years. Even though it's not always focused on animation, obviously, as I just mentioned, it is an element that comes in every once in a while. And also, yeah, you have so many different talents that you showcase in your videos. You gave me a wave of nostalgia by watching all the ASDF movies. Those, they've been coming up on TikTok recently. Again, remember earlier in the video when I said sometimes the lowest form of productivity for me is just mindlessly scrolling on my phone. But one thing that's been coming up is people have been re-cutting up the old ASDF movies for a bit of a wave of nostalgia. I guess everyone's having that nostalgia wave right now, and I remember those videos being the single funniest thing that have ever happened in the world. Like, when they came out, I was like, this is, me and my friends, like, it was the pinnacle of comedy. Oh, yes, the randomness era. And again, you were doing a try not to laugh. I was like, this is going to be hard. And then I'm watching it. I did about the same amount of not laughing as you did. Some of the randomness of it all has gotten a little old over the years. They also have a really weird fixation that I did not remember quite so much of. There's just a lot of people and characters getting shot in the face in that show. I didn't even realize they made 13 of them. I actually found myself laughing a lot more after you got past about episode 8, because I think I must have trailed off at some point. The newer ones were new to me. I'm going to assume that those have stopped being made years and years ago, unless a couple of those are relatively new. I don't know what's kept up with in that series, but wild wave of nostalgia to get to watch through those again. You did your Monsters University watch-along, or not Monsters University, excuse me, Monsters at Work. That's a show that I was very excited to hear they were making. They were turning a Pixar property into like a television serialized show. I was really excited to watch it, and then I never really got around to it for one reason or another. Watching Monsters at Work was never the number one thing I wanted to do that day, so I never got around to watching it, but maybe I will after seeing your retrospect. But even if I don't, it was cool to watch you go through those. I think that about covers everything I was going to talk about in all y'all's videos. Like I said, I will be back hopefully around the same time next week to do one final recap of all the videos that you guys uploaded between September 21st and September 30th / now. And honestly, between now and then, I think I am going to go ahead with making that one last video of the Let's Play 2001scape RuneScape series that I had been making. I didn't get to finish quite what I wanted to do with that, and just one more video, so I'll probably make that, and then that series will go back into hibernation until at least next year, as it often does. Thank you all so much for your wonderful videos this month. Thanks for watching this one, which I know turned out way too long, as my videos always do, without fail. But thank you so much for watching. I will be back, like I said, at some point next week to do one final recap of VEDS 2025. It was an awesome month. Thanks for watching. I'll see y'all then.